What if FetchXML finally felt like a first-class language in Visual Studio, with IntelliSense, live preview, and code generation? Hey everyone, it's Reza. Welcome back. Today I'll show you how Xrm Tools lets you write and test FetchXML queries and generate C# code for them without leaving Visual Studio. If you haven't already, you'll want to install Xrm Tools extension if you want to follow along. And I'm going to use the same Hello World project that I've been using throughout my videos. If you remember, at some point I added this account statistics service, and here in this method get account count, we had this fetch XML query, which is pretty simple. I'm going to write the same query in a different way today. But let's have a look at our query. We have a very simple query, and there is a parameter here, filter XML. The query itself is counting the number of accounts, and then you can optionally pass it a filter as well based on the conditions you pass to this method. You might have similar queries all over your plugins that you have written in the past, but you can replace them like what I'm going to do today. Let's first add a folder in here to keep things organized. Right, and then I will right click on that folder and add a new FetchXML file. Right, it already gives us a very simple template to start with, but I'm going to rename this file to something more meaningful. We also get a code behind in here that is generated for us every time we save. Let's have a look at that code. So as you can see here, it's basically the same FetchXML query in here, and it's giving us an extension method for organization service to make it very easy to execute. Now let's go back to our query. I'm going to move this original code to the bottom so you can easily see what is happening. Let's move it a little bit nowhere so we have more space in here. All right, let's write the same thing at the top. We have a distinct, which is false, and then we have an aggregate, which is true. Then we have here the same entity, nothing special, and then we have an attribute. The name is account ID. What else do we have? We have an aggregate, which is count, and then we have an alias. The AI is already helping us to figure out what we are about to do. Now we have a very similar query in here, and in the code behind, you can see it's the same method as before. But I'm going to add something special in here. So if you want to have parameters that will replace part of your FetchXML query, you can add something called param, which is an element that will be replaced during runtime with a parameter that you will pass to your method. You need to give it a name, otherwise a name will be generated for you. Let's call it as well filter XML, like the parameter that we had here below. All right, so that's it. Let's go back. As you can see, the same query runs and there is no value given to this param, so we have the same result as before. If I go back to the code behind, you will notice that now we have a new parameter, filter XML, which is a string, and it will be interpolated here in the string, and the same execution happens after. All right. But you can also give your param a default value. What you can do basically is to, for example, you can even test it like that. You can add a filter in here. All right, and let's give it type. Type will be and now in here, let's do something simple. I will just add a condition with attribute, for example, name, and then we are going to say, for example, operator like, and then for the value, I'm going to say all the accounts that start with A, for example. All right, that's our condition. Let's save, which will run the query as well. Now we have less. So it means that the filter is working. But now if you want to turn it into a parameter, what you can do is to add a param element at top. And we can close it here. Now let's give it a name as well. I'm going to use the same name. Now, if we look at the code behind file, we have this parameter, but it has a default value as well. There is one other way you can make things parametric here. So this syntax allows you to basically make a chunk of your filter parametric, and it still remains a valid XML. But what if you want to, for example, make one of these attributes parametric, not the whole XML chunk? For example, this count. For example, let's make this one parametric. I'm going to use 2 curly brackets, and whatever you put inside that bracket becomes a parameter. So I'm going to give it a name. Now, if I save this, in the code behind, I will receive a new parameter as well, which is being used in here, but I'm going to give it a default value so the query execution can happen without problem. Let's save it now. So now we have the same query as before, but with the ability to change the aggregate function to something else if you want. All right, but I don't need this for this method, so I'm going to remove this one and just keep using count. Okay. And let's go back to our query and see how we can use it in our original code in here. So as you can see, we don't need all of that. Let's comment this out, this one as well, and let's write a different line. I'm going to say result should be assigned to, all right, AI is eager to help. So now we are calling that extension method from our original code in here. We don't need any of this anymore. So that's about it. We actually can replace all of our queries with these FetchXML files in here. And there are many advantages for that, because you can keep your original queries somewhere organized and clean. You will get this query generation, C# code generation as well. There is some more to it, but I will dig deeper in my future videos. So let me know what you think. If you have any questions or remarks, please leave them below. I will do my best to answer them. As always, you can find the code in the GitHub repository. I will drop the link below. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.